Let us dive into some news items. On Thursday, Janel Grant's representatives did a rare media availability. They have not done one of these throughout this whole process. This involved her lawyer, Ann Callis, as well as one of her new PR reps as well that was on the call. They fielded questions from the media. And here is just a brief statement from Ann Callis off the top describing the case and what Janel Grant has been going through.
Janel Grant is a survivor of incomprehensible abuse, sexual assault, and human trafficking at the hands of Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. It takes immense strength to speak out against Goliath, and she has courageously come forward, not just to address her own suffering, but also to act for those who are afraid to speak out. She is also a human being. She is smart, kind, and compassionate. But because of the extreme cruelty, degradation, exploitation, and violence she was subjected to on a near daily basis for more than 2 years, she now suffers from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, suicidal ideation, and the inability to leave her home for weeks at a time. Janel's story is an important one, and we hope Netflix docuseries does it justice. Her experience is an integral to an accurate and full retelling of the story of the WWE and Mr. McMahon. While Janel didn't participate in the Netflix docuseries, we hope it shines a light on the abhorrent actions of McMahon, frequently on WWE property, and it portrays the realities of his abusive and exploitative behavior. Many of the stories in the last few months have not portrayed her in the way she deserves to be portrayed as a survivor of human trafficking and sexual abuse.
So that was Ann Callis, the attorney for Janel Grant, and sort of the backdrop of this presser was the fact that the Netflix series is dropping next week. It wasn't as if they had some announcement to make or that I can say there was anything really new uncovered here. It was interesting just the fact that they have not done one of these before where they have opened it up to the media for questions, but it did seem like from listening to this was about a 25-30 minute virtual presser. They were very careful not to knock the Netflix series. They stated they have not seen the series themselves. And as you heard there, that there was outreach to Janel Grant. She's not in the series as we have reported on, but many times Ann Callis stated that Janel Grant has a story and she will tell it on her time. And they made that very clear. Like there will come a time that you are going to hear from Janel Grant. It's not going to be on this particular series. Other things that came up, the fact that they are still under a stay as the federal investigation is going on through December 11th. They really want to expedite this civil process. Like it seems like it is weighing heavily on Janel Grant, and they want this process to move more quickly than it is. And beyond that, that was about it. But also just like putting into words like what Janel Grant has been going through. I think for a lot of people, Janel Grant is this idea, and people are kind of divorced that this is also a person that has not only outlined what she has gone through, but just being in the public eye as she has since January, that alone is an incredible amount of pressure. And as she mentioned, like an inability to leave her home for long stretches of time, suicidal ideation, like these are obviously a lot of trauma that is associated with this. But that was, I would say, the key things coming out of this press conference.
I could see them maybe wanting to get ahead of, whatever the story is going to be told through this Vince McMahon documentary series, maybe wanting to, create some form of relationship with the media so that they can at least get their part of their side out there, ahead of, I'm sure, what is going to be a bit of a media circus after this documentary series drops. I'm curious to see if we'll hear from Ann Callis afterwards. I'm curious to know certainly about Janel Grant's opinion on the way that this story will be presented in the documentary. And I have to think, because they have now formed this sort of like press conference type of platform for themselves. We might get follow up through this sort of representation. So yeah, I thought they were actually very open with like the amount of questions that they were willing to accept from various members of the media. And I completely understand why she would not want to participate in the documentary, knowing that there is definitely enough reason to question like the sort of bias that you might get from a Netflix documentary that is at one time at least, you know, executively produced, or at least had some involvement in some official capacity from the WWE. So I totally understand why she would not want to participate.
Yeah, and they would not go much beyond that very clear messaging that they had about the Janel has her story. She will state it on her time. They were not going to go into details about what that back and forth was like, what was the level of participation that Janel may have been interested in speaking with. Like, they never said on this thing that Janel refused to be part of this, but they were not going to get into details. And if you listen to this, like, this was not them casting shade at Netflix. As you state, next week, the episodes will be out. They will have a chance to review them and see them, and maybe they will have a different reaction. I don't know if they will speak publicly. They will definitely be asked. I promise you that, about what their reaction is. But yeah, there's going to be a ton of attention on these episodes. And not to go from like such a serious story to promoting something that we are doing, but next week, we will be obviously covering the Mr. McMahon series. What we're going to be doing is Wei and I are going to end up doing 6 straight days of shows covering each episode, beginning next Friday with a free episode covering episode 1. Then, for you members of the Post Wrestling Cafe that are listening to this on the cafe, you will get our reviews of episodes 2 through 6 starting next Saturday, and daily releases covering 1 show per episode of the McMahon series.
John and Brandon Thurston will also be talking about the series, at least the first and the last episodes on Pollock and Thurston, which will be airing at a special time of Thursday this week. So
yes,
plenty of coverage for the series all week long.